Okay.
Here we are. We finally made it.
We're finally doing it. How do we even start?
I don't know. So here's the backstory of the day.
Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, welcome to the... Oh, yeah.
We should probably... let's tell them what the podcast is like.
It's probably a good idea.
About.
So this is Bumbledickin, a show and tell podcast with Evan and Chelsie.
I'm excited.
You look so excited.
Well, it's been a day, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. So for our podcast, Evan, why don't you tell everybody what we're doing?
So the way the podcast works is I present Chelsie with a piece of media. Could be a TV show, could be a movie, could be a book, anything like that. And preferably something she's never seen before, but sometimes we may bring stuff to the table that we've seen just because we want to talk about it.
Because we're Bumbledickin.
And then Chelsie has to kind of tell me what she thought about it, maybe recap it a bit as best as she can, and then we flip the script.
Yep.
Chelsie has also brought something to me that I've never seen or will have never read, watched, anything like that. And I'll have to do the same.
So it's really just going to be us kind of messing around and seeing what we think about things. Bumbledickin, exactly. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know what the word Bumbledickin means, it just means...
Webster's dictionary says.
Yeah, absolutely. Chelsea's dictionary says.
Fair.
Messing around, doing whatever you want. So thus, we're kind of just doing whatever we want with this.
Right. And at the end, and we'll talk a little bit more specific about this at the end, we kind of decide whether or not the thing that we've brought to each other will be continued. The person who is presented will get to decide that. Not the presenter, the presentee will decide whether we keep watching or reading or whatever. And then there's a little twist, but I think we'll save that till the end to talk about.
So before we get started, I feel like we need to tell you about our saga of getting here. It is approximately 7 o'clock at night.
7 o'clock at night.
Evan, what time did we start today?
1 o'clock.
We've gone to Walmart. I've been there twice today.
Mm-hmm.
We've YouTubed a lot of instructions.
We've heard a lot of different people's opinions.
Yep, with a lot of different accents, honestly. YouTube.
Very much so. I've heard garage band and garage band.
It's been quite the day. But we're here, and that's all that matters.
We are here. We're hoping that if you're seeing this, I guess that means it worked.
If not, we'll try again. Because we're not giving up.
We're not giving up.
Because mama didn't raise no bitch.
Correct.
So, should we jump in?
Yes. So who wants to start?
That's up to you.
Should there be a method of choosing who starts each one?
Yeah, I would say
and
we would
that,
ask Siri to flip a coin, but all of our devices are plugged up.
Literally I could flip a book.
Okay, I'm going to pick a number.
Right.
1 through 10.
Okay.
One end, I've already decided in my head. One end is you go first, and the other... Oh, no, that's not going to work. That math doesn't math. Because we need a third person.
Let's rock, paper, scissors.
Okay.
Just one round.
Okay.
No 2 out of 3.
Okay.
You ready?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Dang
it.
Son of a pair.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
What is going on? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay.
Okay.
So, does that mean I go first?
You go first.
So, I go first, we talk about what I brought.
Sure.
First.
Sure.
Okay. Should we say what we each brought and then...
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, so I presented Chelsie with Demon Slayer, the anime.
And I presented Evan with Sex in the City.
Which I've never seen. Chelsea's never seen Demon Slayer or read it, anything like that. So we're starting with Demon Slayer.
Yes.
So I'll start with a little bit about me and Demon Slayer. We're going to try to fit both all this in this one podcast. I think we'll be able to do it.
Yeah, I think so too.
For me, Demon Slayer, how about the reason I brought it to you?
Okay.
Maybe we start with that, and then we'll have you talk about what happened, what you think about it, and I'll decide whether or not I need to defend it at all.
Okay, period.
And we'll talk about that experience. I brought it to you because I know you're not super into anime.
What gives that away?
I am. I know this. I know these are books, but they go hand in hand. So I'm a big fan of it. Demon Slayer in particular, I honestly, I don't know if I even said this. It's not, I wouldn't say I love it.
Got it.
I like it a lot. There's definitely some issues that I have with it, but the reason I brought it to you is it's very mainstream right now.
Okay. Very
mainstream. A lot of people who don't even watch anime know what Demon Slayer is. And also, the animation company, Ufotable is their name. They just their reputation is pretty high up there in the animation community, and I mean, we'll hear what you thought about the animation, but I in particular think that they knocked it out of the park. And if we continue to watch it, you'll see more and more about just how beautiful a show it is, and it's a beautiful story. It really is.
Well, I can't really speak to that because I've seen one episode.
Yeah, but I brought it to you mostly because I think it looks really great. I think just seeing it alone, you'd be like, I want to see more, and also there has to be a reason why it's gotten so mainstream.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what happened?
Okay, so
Episode 1.
Episode 1, Demon Slayer. Wow. Okay, I will say, full honesty, all transparency, it has been a week since we watched these shows.
Yes.
So that's going to add to the humor of both of our descriptions, because the other one knows exactly what happened, and then the person who's going to give the synopsis is like 10% lost. So
yeah, give or take.
Yeah.
50%.
So we start the episode, and there are two characters, and I was under the impression that they were both ladies. Mm-hmm. They weren't. And
real quick, we watched the Japanese dub. I prefer the Japanese dub, so I think that's important to mention, because some people will be like, well, which did you watch it in, English or Japanese?
And for those of you who are like me, that means absolutely nothing to you, and you don't understand the difference.
It's in Japanese.
Well, yeah, but like...
You don't understand the difference.
I don't understand
one's in
the
Japanese,
difference.
One's in English.
I don't understand how they could be so different. So maybe that's a whole nother conversation to be had.
That is. Like, if we, at some point, if you want to continue that show in particular, I will show you just a little bit of the English, and you'll be like, I don't know, maybe, everybody's different. It's subjective.
Different strokes for different folks.
Yes. Okay, but continue.
So they're like clearly distraught. Something has happened. Mm-hmm. I think, okay, let me not give my opinion. Let me just continue telling you what happened.
Right.
And then we end up at this house, and there's all these new people, and I don't know who anybody is. And I'm really bad about talking during TV, so we'll discuss all my input once we get halfway through the...
Right, unless it's something in particular, but that's for another episode of the podcast.
So, and then this guy's like, I've got to go sell... What was he selling? Clay or slate or... bricks. He was selling bricks.
Was he?
Granite. Something like that. I don't know.
Honestly, I don't even remember what...
He was selling something, and his little siblings were like, we want to go with you. And he was like, no, you can't. And his mom was like, no, you have to stay here. So then, but then the next... So, like, it's like the two little beans, and then the mom, and then the son, who I thought was a lady. And then there's a daughter, like, in between the little beans and the son. And the daughter's like, I want to come with you. And he's like, no, you have to stay here and watch them. So then she stays with the family. So mom, daughter, siblings, little beans.
Bonus points for names? Or are we
I've got nothing. No, okay. There's nothing in here.
That's why I said bonus
points. It's empty. And then he's like, I'm going to go to the village and make money. So he goes to sell whatever he was selling. I really think it was like bricks or like granite. Something like that. I really
don't remember, but I don't know.
I don't know that maybe it matters. It doesn't matter. Apparently it doesn't matter because if you don't remember.
I honestly, I can't remember.
So he goes, and then there's this like big fight happening in the village, and this guy gets like thrown out, and he's like, help, you know me. Can you smell anything? Is that what happens? He's got to smell it. And he's like, I smell something strange here. It's something different. I smell a cat. He smells a cat because the shop owner or whatever is angry because he thinks this other guy like has like knocked a vase off and broken it. And he's like, no, it was your cat. And then everyone's like, we want to buy all your stuff. So then he sells all his stuff. And then he goes and stays at this old man's house on his way home.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that old man was. Still unclear.
It's just a villager.
Oh, he's just kikiing with a villager. That's cool.
Pretty sure it was because of the weather. Like
it was snow, fresh weather. Snow. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
So God. So he stays with this guy, and that's when we like start to learn about the demons. And we don't really know anything about them much at this point. And then he's like, okay, they go to sleep. And he's like, okay, time to go home. So he goes home, and then there's blood in the fresh white snow. And he's like, oh my gosh, my family. And he goes in, and everyone's dead. Everyone's dead. Yeeted, blood everywhere. Dead. Except his sister. Not the little beans. The one, the middle kid. And so he's like, I can't let her die. I can't. So he like drags her in the snow, and she's like clearly like barely breathing, which is that is like in the timeline, but the beginning of the episode, correct me if I'm wrong, starts with like that concept, and then it's a flashback.
At this point it's come full circle.
Okay, yeah. See, I know what I'm talking about. I saw the show.
Honestly, you're a lot more specific with this than I'm probably going to be with yours.
Oh, that's okay. Well, yours has this one has more of a storyline than mine did. Mine's more like a sitcom. Okay, so he's like going, and he's like, I can't let you die. And then they run into this guy, and he like is like ready to kill his sister because his sister's a demon. They fall down a thing of snow. That happens first, right?
Right.
They fall down a thing of snow like an avalanche. No, it's like a mountain. They fall off the mountain. Because that's how that works. And the first thing I said was, I really hope that's fresh snow, because any of you who have lived in cold climates know that a large mound of snow is primarily ice with a thin layer of snow on top of it. So I was like, oh, they're dead. Necks broken. Dead. Not the case.
Roll the credits.
Yeah, correct. I'm like, and now these two characters meant nothing, and the real lead of the show comes out. The story begins. And then this demon slayer comes out because his sister actually has like been taken over by a demon because the demon got in her blood or something like that. She had an exposed wound, and then the demon infiltrated her, and she's like ready to kill everyone.
I'm not correcting anything. I want you to get to the end. I'm not saying you're wrong. You looked at me like you were like, is this right? And I'm like, I'm going to wait till the end.
So then this bad guy, he's not bad. The demon slayer man who had a sword that was blue. Mm-hmm. Well, it was like blue icing on the sword, really, more than anything.
Like you just cut a cake.
Yeah. He was like, we have to kill her. And he's like, not my sister. And so then he's like, no, we have to kill her. And then they get into an argument, and the guy...
the exact attitude. No, we have to kill her.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if anybody that knows the character you're talking about is like, that's not that guy's attitude at all. No, we have to kill her. Whoa.
Excuse me. This is my retelling.
You're right.
Thank you. Oh. So, he has the best insult that I've heard in a long time. So just all of you out there know, I'm waiting for one of you to cross me, because the next thing I'm going to say to you is, so naturally I have no respect for you either.
Yeah, you really absorbed that.
Yeah.
That really hit home with you.
I put it in my notes page because I'm really ready to use it.
Yeah.
Because it just really feels like that would like cut deep, you know?
Yeah, and just to recap for people that don't know exactly what you're talking about, this is something that Gyu says to Tanjiro, for those of you that watch the show.
Yeah, Gyu, Tanjiro. Gyu.
I always want to call him Tapioca. I think it's Tamio. See, I don't even know the names. I know like one name. I don't know full names.
Period. So then the guy's like, they like get into it, and then the guy takes out the lead guy. What's his name?
Tanjiro?
Tapioca gets taken out by the guy with the blue sword. And then the demon sister like comes to life and like protects her brother. And that was like, oh my god. Like, oh my god, this demon is like protecting a human. That could never happen. It's never happened before. So then he's like, something's different about these siblings. So then they like come up with a way to like eat the girl's mouth so she can't like attack them or something like that. And then they walk into the village to go find some guy. that the guy with the blue sword told them to find.
Rokodaki.
Mm-hmm. And that's episode 1.
And that's it.
That only took me 10 minutes to tell you guys all about.
Mine will probably be much briefer. I'm honestly, Chels, I am impressed.
Especially because you know I have the memory of like a goldfish.
I'm not. It's not that you remembered the core elements, but like you even thought to mention the bit about the guy that came out and was like, "You have to help me." Like she thinks I did this, and I didn't, and he uses his nose. Like,
is he gonna come back?
No.
Oh.
But
so I learned irrelevant information from that.
No, it's important because
he smells things.
His sense of smell is important to the plot.
Because he could also smell the demon on his sister, or he could smell the demon in the house, which told him it wasn't just his sister.
Oh.
Yeah. Where they all got.
Yeah, he smelled a different
energy.
Yeah, well.
A different human.
Yes.
When he walked home and said, everyone I love is dead.
Yeah, and that's something, no, it's something important, and it's something that's really cool about Demon Slayer is there's kind of like, I mean, I guess this is arguable, but there's kind of like a core 5 characters. You've met 2 of them.
The guy with the blue sword doesn't matter at all?
He does, but he's not what I would say is one of the core 5. Again, arguable.
Okay.
But there is a core 5. Really, most people say there's a core 4. No, I would say actually a core 6 if you include Nezuko. Nezuko is the demon sister.
Oh, she's not in the core.
She is. I'm thinking of the core 5 that are like the demon slayers.
Oh, because she's a demon, not a
And the reason why it's 5 is because of the 5 senses.
Oh. I see now.
So you'll see more characters will get entered.
Did you just ruin the plot for me?
No, it's kind of just because it's a little like niche.
Okay.
Little like icing on the cake. It's like, oh, his thing is this, her thing is this, and so it's kind of cool to discover like, oh, this is the person who can hear really well. This is the person who uses touch, or sight, or taste. Yeah, that's an interesting. Can't wait for him to be licking people. That's an interesting character. If we get there. We'll talk about that. I think we saved both of our do we keep watching till the end.
Okay.
But you can give like a general, let's go ahead and hear like a general like what you thought.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was for sure entertained.
You clapped.
I did. The episode ended and I clapped. Mm-hmm. Which doesn't really, well, I mean, no, I don't do that very often.
Yeah, not a lot of things please you enough to applaud.
That's not true. I'm in theater. I clap for everyone.
Yeah.
But I think I was just surprised that I liked it as much as I did. I will say in the middle where it got a little, when the guy with the blue sword. Giyu.
The more you watch, the more you'll.
Yeah.
I promise. If we watch.
When Giyu like had his whole like inner dialogue, that went on a little long for my attention span.
Sure.
But I have a short attention span, as we learned through this process, because I talked the entire episode.
You did.
But it was more so commentary on what we were watching and less so like
some of my can I say some of my favorite Chelsie quotes?
Please.
There was the one of the very first ones you said was my ex had an axe like that. He kept it in his trunk. And I was like,
it's the truth.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. There was a hatchet back there for a while too.
Okay. Good. He was, you never know. Maybe you need to defend something. Maybe you need to chop down a tree that's in the way. You're driving on some mountain
I can't
roads.
say that happens to me often.
Sure.
But preparation is key.
Are we going to talk about the broom?
Yeah, okay. For those of you who have seen this, and for those of you who haven't,
and you won't remember this if you've seen it.
And honestly, those of you who just like are like, why do you care? We're watching. It is lovely to watch. The animation was beautiful. I will say the extent of my like being like I'm going to use the term nerd. Know that I use it kindly and with all the love in my heart because I identify as a nerd, but a different kind of nerd.
We're in the nerd room.
Yeah, we are in the nerd room. the extent of my nerddom like comes and goes with like the fact that I've played like almost all of the Mario games and like all of Kingdom Hearts. Okay, so when we started, the first thing I said was, "This looks like a cutscene from Kingdom Hearts." But you should know that I also skipped those when I played those games. I know. I don't have the attention span. I know. Here's the thing. I don't care about. Let me be clear.
To be fair, it's one of the most complicated plots in any
the plot
medium.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I just want to play with Mickey Mouse. I'm gonna be Mickey. Well, I don't want to be Mickey. I want to be Donald and Goofy, run around, and
Sora.
Don't get me started on Kingdom Hearts because I could talk about that forever. But I like to complete things. I'm task oriented. So when I play games, it's more so about completing every task. Like I have to have all the things done until I'm like, I don't consider myself done with the game until it's completed.
You got 100% a game, but you won't figure out what the story's about.
No, I don't care. I simply don't care.
But the broom.
The broom. Okay. Yeah, what really matters. The broom. Guys, this man, it's snowing. Someone brought it to my attention the other day that perhaps he was brushing the fresh snow, which I can acknowledge that if you were brushing fresh snow, you would be doing that. You would not be brushing like you regularly use a broom. But we're sitting there and we're watching the show. And I get silent. And all I could say was, nobody uses a broom like that. How do you, like, no one sweeps like that. Because they're like, you know, like to sweep, you have to like brush diagonally or sweep like this. And this guy was doing this. And I was like, what on earth could he be doing?
Sweeping.
No, he was not. Incorrect.
It's so funny because this was literally like, he was probably on screen for no more than 2 seconds, and yet that stuck with you and, by extent, me. And
now other people, because we've told people, and they're like, what are you talking about? And
because we were at dinner the other day with some friends, and we pulled it up, and we had a whole analysis of why is this person sweeping like this.
Yeah, but the problem is like, no, and maybe I'm wrong. Here's the thing. I could be wrong. I fully can accept.
Leave a comment below.
Yeah. Leave your opinion. Do you think people sweep that
First
guy
of all,
does in
go
the first
back,
episode?
watch episode 1 of Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
It's probably within the first 5 minutes. It's definitely before the demon stuff pops off. It's before he even stays with the person at the cabin. It's somewhere in like the first 5 minutes.
So.
But yeah, so.
But I simply like, I can't fathom using a broom like that. It's the same way though that I saw the man or the brother and sister fall in the snow, and I said, I hope that's fresh snow, because if not, they're dead. Like that's where my brain goes. It's not like, oh, they're all is well. Like there has to be like logic, you know.
Right. But overall,
yeah, it was good.
Good.
It was good.
Good. I felt pretty confident bringing that one to you.
Oh, interesting.
It's because again, it's so mainstream. And that's why I'm excited for my next anime I'm going to show you is also mainstream. I don't want to say more so, but it's getting there. But it's very different. Demon Slayer kind of follows this. I know, I'm looking too.
Yeah, I'm worried about.
Yeah. Demon Slayer, you can tweak that while I'm. Oh wait, how are we doing there?
That's what I'm worried about is the battery.
Okay.
I would say we've got like
behind the scenes, folks.
Yeah.
Or we could cut this part out.
Yeah.
We'll decide.
Yeah.
But I'll go ahead and we'll wrap this part up. Maybe this will be a bit of a shorter intro episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other one is just it's very different. So, we'll talk about that when you
That's
see
so
it.
interesting that you brought me something you thought I would like, because I feel like I brought you the most like stark piece of media that like I felt surely you had no knowledge of.
No, my intention, I thought, was to show you something that we would eventually keep watching, and that later on we could watch episode 2 and talk about episode 2 and then decide again if we want to keep watching. Maybe if like, you know, we really decide you like something, I like something, then we could watch like a bigger batch of episodes rather than being like, this is episode 2. Maybe like if we're really into it, we sit down, we watch like 3 or 4 and then we can talk about what happened throughout all of those.
I really, and this is like kind of random. I really enjoyed it having subtitles.
Yeah.
But I like to watch things with subtitles on frequently, even if it's like in English. But I like to watch like movies in French and stuff like that. But it wasn't to the point, because of the way it was animated, I felt like I could read and still be taking in what's happening on the screen. It wasn't just like I was like reading and all the action was happening. Like it was. Can I tell you what I didn't like?
Yeah.
I didn't like there was a lot of like inner dialogue. It was like it was done in like third person omniscient. Like they were talking and like people were having conversations, but then all of a sudden his voice would be coming out, and like I thought he was speaking out loud, and I was like, what is he doing? Like who is he talking to?
I remember you saying something like that. Yeah.
And then I realized it was his inner thoughts, and I don't think that was clear from the drop, but I understand that I could be the like minority in that opinion.
No, and maybe it's just something.
It's adjusting. Is a lot of anime like that?
It can be, because the thing about anime is it's typically, not always, but it's typically coming from manga. And a lot of that is a lot of the action that's written there that's shown there is written out in text, like thoughts and everything. Certain plot points will be written out as opposed to somebody saying them. So sometimes there will be a lot of inner dialogue, and what it's meant to be is kind of take you into the mind of that person, obviously, right? So, and I think Sex and the City has some of that too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Well, and especially early on, which we'll discuss.
Yeah,
we'll discuss in a few minutes.
And this is going to be the most embarrassing part about this. It's Sex and the City.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because I always want to say Sex in the City, but it's not. It's Sex and the City. It's a combo, not a one thing. Well, do you want to start talking about that, and then we'll talk about what you decide about Demon Slayer, or are we reaching the end of our rope?
We're still at 7%. So I say we keep going.
Let's try to shoot for at least like maybe 45.
Yeah.
Maybe we can make it to 45.
So I brought Evan Sex in the City. We watched the first episode. You know, it's got a killer cast. It's had a reboot done recently, like in the last few years, and the reboot's still happening. People have opinions on that, and that's a whole different can of worms. It's had 2 movies. It's got books. I didn't know this actually until I started researching, like, to think of like how I was going to present it to Evan. Did you know that it's based on an actual news column, and that was turned into a book, and then the books were turned into a TV series?
It's a TV show based on a book based on a newspaper column.
So it's like
based on experiences.
It's very loosely, I would say. Yeah. Like based on reality.
Like it was an idea that sparked a TV show, or sparked a book, sparked a TV show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
There was a prequel too, right? Semi-recently? Like younger...
2000s.
Isn't it younger Carrie?
Yeah. It's called The Carrie Diaries. Those books are really good, actually, too.
Gotcha.
There's some theme issues in the sense that, like, the through line... Someone should have fact-checked a little better.
Gotcha.
My opinion. But my opinion is irrelevant.
Well, we'll see if we ever get to Carrie Diaries.
You really don't need to.
Okay. Good to know.
But so I brought Evan Sex in the City. And yeah, I just think it's like a piece of media that is like kind of, I think it was ahead of its time. There are things watching it back now that I'm like, ooh, that didn't age well, but I think that's all TV.
Older media.
Yeah. Because I will watch things that even came out like 5 years ago, and I go, oh, that's...
Times are changing all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you like look at it in the context of like this came out in what, 98, 99?
Yeah.
It was really ahead of its time for some of like the themes and like the through lines. And,
sure.
And if we watch more of that, you'll see a lot more of that coming out. So, Evan, what happened in the first episode of Sex and the City?
Do you know how hard it is for me to remember Carrie? Like I keep saying, we had this conversation at dinner too, because it was, I remember Samantha, Miranda, and Charlotte. Yeah. And then I'm like, what's the other one? But the way I remember it now is there's two C's, and then The two girls that rhyme.
Yeah.
Miranda, Samantha, Carrie, Charlotte.
Okay.
Miranda, Samantha, and Carrie and Charlotte.
Boop, 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 boop.
That honestly, that should have been the theme song.
I know.
It's Sex in the City. I almost said Sex in the City. So Sex in the City starts off with sex.
Yeah. Period.
And it's again, I'm not gonna get as in depth as you because I can't. But the beginning is kind of like, it seems like acquaintances or friends of Carrie. It's kind of like they're talking directly to the camera, kind of talking about their experiences with sex, their beliefs on sex, and all that stuff. And that's kind of how it starts, with like some over narration from Carrie, who is writing a column for a newspaper, like we talked about. It was semi based on. And yeah, and so she has some friends.
Yep.
There's Charlotte, who at the time, I consider Charlotte the more reserved one. That may change with time. I don't know. Miranda is the lawyer. I think I like Miranda the most. We talked about how I think I'm more of a Charlotte, because everybody that's watching is going to be like, well, who is he? And then we can go over who you think you are in a minute. But Miranda was my favorite. She's the lawyer. And then there's Samantha, who is more, what do we say, promiscuous?
She is more promiscuous. But I would also argue that she is the most driven. That might be debatable, because Miranda is a lawyer and
driven in terms of what? Like getting what she wants?
Yeah, but even in work, like she owns her own business, and like her whole argument is like she can do everything a man can.
Right. And I totally remember that she owned a business.
That's okay. Do you have any idea what her business is? Or what her work is?
I honestly can only remember that Carrie writes.
Okay.
And that Miranda is a lawyer.
Okay.
And I don't even think if they did mention Miranda as a lawyer, I missed it. But I was talking about like how I liked how she talked, and you said, "Oh, well, she's a lawyer."
Yeah. It was in the very beginning, you know, when she's doing the
interview, it did
like,
say like
Miranda,
lawyer.
A friend, lawyer. Yeah.
Gotcha. No, I do not remember.
When she's getting the
Samantha's
chicken wings
business
on her salad.
Oh, yes.
Cuz that's relevant.
I love Miranda. So Carrie in the episode has been having relations with this guy, and I think she's kind of ready to kind of make it more kind of like but like she's trying to take control of the situation.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you remember what she was interviewing them about? No, this is not Mr. Big.
No, what she was interviewing them about?
So her article of the week. I don't want to ruin your
No, I don't remember. I thought they were just talking about sex.
Her article of the week is them talking about if women can be casual in a relationship and deal with relationships the same way men do.
That was the specific thing about sex.
Yeah. So that's kind of how this translates into this her
right.
life.
So she's trying to make this thing more casual,
like traditionally society
with this guy
the way men do. Yeah.
Right. Eventually he thinks that that's cool. They wind up seeing each other, and they go and they do the thing. And then she's just like, all right. Oh, no, she doesn't even. She has her moment, and then he's ready, and then she's like, bye.
Iconic.
I remember that. And then later on, I remember he comes up and is like, hey, I'm so down with this. This is actually cool. I will let you know when I want stuff, and we'll do stuff. But I'm going to go do stuff with other people now, too. Bye. And I don't think that's what Carrie wanted.
Yeah.
And then she does meet Mr. Big,
Daddy,
who apparently is very important to the story.
I love Mr. Big.
Not much older, but an older man.
Yeah.
It's very clear that he's a little more older, and less grammatically correct than I am, of course. And they meet, and she's kind of like, oh, he's cute. And then I remember that Charlotte went out with somebody.
A really rich player.
Oh, yeah. He was one of the ones that she was interviewing.
Yeah, he was like the most eligible bachelor, but like
right.
he was like he just gets around. Like he never commits to anyone.
Which doesn't really seem like Charlotte. Well, she was about to not go with him, and then she changed her mind. But I don't think they wound up doing anything because Samantha wound up meeting with him. Because
he left from his date with Charlotte and went to a bar in her cab.
Mm-hmm.
He got in the cab with her from his house and said, "Will you take me to the bar on the way to take her home?"
That's so right. I remember that now. And then he winds up going home with Samantha.
Yeah.
And then I remember Miranda went out with Skipper.
This is yesterday. You and I couldn't come up with his name. And
is it Skipper?
It's Skipper.
Great. I like Scooter more, but we'll call him by
he could be Scooter, honestly.
I think you got to be right. It's Skipper.
Yeah.
Sure. I think I made like a Gilligan's Island joke when I saw it too.
Probably.
And I feel like Miranda was not as into it, but like thinking like, oh, you're a nice guy, but then they wound up making out anyway.
Well, and that, yeah.
Is that something that I'll be elaborated on if I watch more?
No, yeah, yes and no.
Okay. But that's really it. I felt like didn't end with Samantha.
Yeah.
And then there was like not much more than that. And then Carrie was all like, "Oh man, that didn't go how I wanted it to. Guess that's just Sex and the City."
Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, no, actually, like you did a pretty nice job because let me try English. That show is hard to give a synopsis of because it's not like a through storyline all the time. It's like, here's the vignette of what we're talking about this episode. And like each person kind of has their own storyline within that. Mm-hmm.
It's more episodic.
Yeah, later on in the series, it becomes more like a through line.
Gotcha.
But the beginning is definitely more exposed in like, here's this boy and like this is what happens with him, but clearly they're setting up because like based on my reaction to Mr. Big, that he's going to follow through in this year. Like he's going to be in and out. He's a recurring love interest of some sort.
Gotcha.
But I think it's interesting because this, I mean, it's 2023 and I can't speak for men. I can't speak for anyone other than myself really and like the people I talk to, but like this is an issue that like we still discuss frequently. Like can you be casual or are you like simply a relationship person? And like it's interesting to see all the girls and see each of them within that process of like Carrie being like, I can take care of my life, I can control my life, I can do this, and then she does it and she realizes like, oh, I can be that person, but I'm not. Right.
So what you're saying is that's kind of like how the episodes work, though. Is like Carrie's article of the week kind of sets up what the four girls will be going through the episode.
Yeah. Okay. Later in the series, like I said, it'll deviate a little bit more. Okay. But in season 1 especially, it's very much so like she interviews them and then we kind of see like how that topic plays in all of their lives. Okay. And not that you asked, but so Miranda is a lawyer. Charlotte is an art curator, so she works for a gallery. Carrie's a writer, and then
which makes sense because he was like, "I have a painting to show you,"
and she was like, Samantha works in marketing. Okay. Yeah, she's got a PR firm. Okay. Yeah. So you think at this point you're a Charlotte? I agree. I think you're a Charlotte. Yeah. I think there could be aspects. I think you are a Charlotte masked as a Miranda. Okay. Does that make sense? I know you haven't seen enough.
Like on the surface, I act like Miranda, but at my core, I'm a Charlotte. Okay. Well, that might be true because like, I like Miranda. I don't think that I am Miranda, but maybe because I like her, that's what I would want to emanate and what I would want other people to think. Yeah. So
I really think if we were to watch more, I think you would relate a lot to some of the love interests that come in, specifically, specifically Charlotte's second husband.
No, there are multiple husbands.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to spoil anything.
It's all right. I said the thing about the senses.
Yeah, and then Miranda's a guy who is with Miranda. Steve. I love Steve. He's not Mr. Big, but I love Steve.
Steve Big? That'd be crazy.
But, yeah, that's Sex and the City. So, what are your thoughts on it, I guess?
One thing you'll learn about me throughout this podcast, and this may, I don't know if this will help or hurt. I'm pretty easy.
Me too. Well, I think we were both watching things other than some things that I was like, but
yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty easy. But specifically when it comes to television. But at the same time, like if something's really not clicking with me, I will be like, we need to stop. Yeah. This is bad. And I thought it was good. I think part of it what it is for me, I've never seen it, but it has such a reputation.
Yeah. It's a cult.
Yeah.
Like it's got a cult following.
Yeah. So I knew that it had a lot going for it, and that it had but also that made it seem like it had a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if it was going to do that, and I think it did. At least the first episode. I think it did enough to make me want to see more about where we're going.
Something that I think is really beautiful about it, and I think this is why it's interesting to present it to like a guy, is I think it's really easy to assume like this is all these women who are like, I hate men. And don't get me wrong, there are moments, but the men aren't the villains in the show. Like, yeah, there are some that it's like, that man sucks. But you will even see the flaws within Carrie, within Charlotte, within Samantha. So it's not so skewed the entire time to be like, the men are tragic. I mean, because, if that were the case, no one would like Mr. Big. And yes, there are some people who think Mr. Big is trash. I know I have people who are probably watching this right now ready to read me for filth because I love Mr. Big. But, like, clearly he's got redeemable qualities. And we see them enough that he, stands the test of the series. So yeah.
Or does he?
Well,
I don't know. But I liked it. So I guess now, because I know this episode might be a little shorter because, again, we've been working for 5 hours, which means that Chelsea's computer is about to die.
Living a nightmare over here.
And we literally can't charge it while recording because of reasons. So the way I think we wrap this up is we decide, each of us, the presentee, gets to pick whether we keep watching. Should I explain a little twist on it that we're going to do? I don't know if it'll apply for this one, honestly, but maybe it will. Who knows? So the little twist to it is, for example, if Chelsea were to say right now she didn't want to watch Demon Slayer, okay, I could veto her decision, and we are guaranteed to at some point watch episode 2. But if I do that, that means I lose out on a veto for, how many episodes?
I say that...
Or how many pieces of media? Like 3, 5?
Oh, I was thinking more than that.
More than that? Like every
I was thinking 10, yeah. You get 1 veto for 10 episodes. That would be us saying we didn't like 10 whole pieces of media that, you know what I'm saying? So I think 10 is like a sizable choice.
Sure. But it also puts some pressure on the presenter. Yeah. And I think as we, again, today's is a little shorter, as we are able to go longer, if we feel the vibe is off, like in terms of like, I'm feeling that you don't like it, I think there's more room to argue our point of why we should continue to watch it. And so as we get into more episodes, we can do more of that. But yeah, okay, so we'll say if I were to use my veto now, then not until Bumbledickin, a Show and Tell podcast episode 11 would I be able to veto another piece of media if you choose not to continue it. So that's the little like twist that we're going off of here. So since I started, I'll do it now. Chelsea, do you want to continue watching this? This feels like really serious.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue watching Demon Slayer?
I do. I really liked it, actually.
Good.
I feel like I was I think it was obvious because I was like commenting like, I don't know if, and maybe this will be interesting, I don't know if I liked it as much as I liked kind of like
the experience
commenting on it. Like,
sure.
I was like really entertained, even by myself within watching it.
Right.
Which sounds conceited, and I don't really mean it that way, but like, it was like I had lots of thoughts going through my head. It kept me very stimulated. Which I have the attention span of a squirrel. Like, it is kind of hard to get me to sit and not play Spider Solitaire while I'm watching TV and movies and stuff. And I didn't touch my phone, and I was very entertained. So yeah, I definitely want to keep watching it. Good.
And I do think that it is, and I will probably use this a few times if you're not vibing with something. It honestly, and maybe you don't think this because you just chose to watch it, it feels like a 2-episode like commitment before you can really make a decision on that anyway.
Yeah.
And maybe there will be times where I'll present something to you and I'll be like, look, we need to at least watch 2 because like maybe the first one ends on a cliffhanger.
Well, we're watching 20-minute episodes.
Yeah. If it's a 20-minute episode of a thing. But that's good. So at some point, and it won't be like the next episode of our podcast. Like, that's another thing too. We're going to break up the episodes. We also talked about watching more bulk episodes, so we're not talking about 1 episode a week if we're talking about something we've talked about before. And yeah, so you can ask me now.
So Evan, do you want to continue watching Sex and the City?
Yes.
Yay! I've recently like watched it in 2 weeks flat, the entire thing, the movies, everything.
And we're watching it again. Or
yeah.
You're watching it again?
No, I'll just watch it with you. Okay. Well.
Yeah, no, it was great. I think it has a good little thing going for there, and I'm interested to see if it keeps living up to its name, if it's a big one.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully you see why it has a cult following.
Yeah.
So, thank you all for joining us for our first episode.
We did it.
Bumbledickin, the show and tell podcast.
I can't believe it.
I kind of can't either.
Yeah. So feel free to share, like, do whatever people say at the end of these videos and podcasts, and we'll see you guys next time.
I also would like to put it out there for all of you who said I was so loud that I bet our sound quality is so well balanced that you don't even know that I'm screaming the entire time.
She is, I can confirm.
Okay, bye.
Bye.